Hey, in this video, I'm going to break down a few science-backed communication techniques that every parent needs to have in their toolkit. And I'll pair each one of them with a concrete example of how you could use this in your own family. Instead of telling your teenager that they need to be more responsible, try this instead. A study by psychologist Philip Mazzocco and colleagues found that using vivid, specific language with concrete sensory details can make a message much more impactful. So instead of you need to be more responsible, try painting a more vivid picture. Imagine how great it's going to feel to come home to a clean room with all your soccer gear organized and ready for the big game tomorrow. You'll be able to just relax and focus on getting in the zone. By tapping into your teenager's imagination with vivid sensory language, you make your message stick. But sometimes even the most colorful language isn't enough to get through to your child. Imagine you're trying to have a serious conversation with your teenager about the importance of being on time, but they just keep rolling their eyes and tuning you out. It's frustrating, right? But there is a way to get past these eye rolls and connect with your teen on a deeper level. A study by marketing professor Punam Keller found that messages focused on values and identity are much more impactful than those focused on logic alone. So instead of just saying you need to be on time, try connecting punctuality to your teen's values. I know that being reliable and keeping your word is really important to you. When you're on time, you're showing others that they can count on you. And that's a really admirable quality. Connecting your message to your teen's values and identity is a powerful way to get your point across. But sometimes even the most heartfelt words from parents can fall on deaf ears. That's where our next tool comes in. Ever notice how your teenager seems to focus more on what their friends are doing than on anything you say? Well, there's a powerful psychological reason for that. Renowned psychologist Robert Cialdini has found we're much more likely to adopt a behavior if we see others, and especially others similar to us, doing that thing. For instance, if you want to encourage your teenager to make healthier food choices, instead of launching into a lecture about nutrition and the importance of getting enough nutrients, you might try something like this. Hey, I noticed a lot of your cross country teammates bring healthy snacks like fruit and nuts to practice. Would you want to go shopping and get some stuff like that for you? This approach is known as social proof, and it can be a powerful motivator, especially for teenagers. But to really get through to your child, there's one more crucial ingredient. And this might seem a little different than the others, but I want to talk about listening. How many times have you found yourself in a conversation with your teenager where you realize that you're doing all the talking and they're just kind of tuning you out? It's a common trap that a lot of parents fall into, but research shows if you want to get through to your teenager, first, you have to make them feel heard and understood. Psychologist Carl Rogers found that when people feel accepted and validated, they're much more open to new perspectives. So, next time your teenager resists your suggestions or expresses a concern, before you jump in with your own viewpoint, take a moment to reflect back what you're hearing from them. Then you can also validate their feelings. Tell them that that's totally normal and common. And I feel that way too sometimes. For example, if your teenager is stressing out about joining a new study group, you could say something like, it sounds like you're feeling really overwhelmed at the idea of adding something else to your already packed schedule. Hey, that's a valid concern. I feel like my head is spinning a lot of times too with everything this family has going on. Let's talk about how we can make this work in a way that feels manageable to you. Okay, so we've looked at a few strategies. Now let's dive into some examples of how you could use all of these ideas together with your child. Imagine your teenager is spending hours on social media every day and you're worried about the impact on their mental health and grades. You could approach the conversation like this. Hey, I noticed you've been spending a lot of time on your phone lately. I get that social media is an important part of how you connect with your friends, but I also worry that it might be taking away from some other important things like your schoolwork and hobbies. I actually read an article the other day about how some teens feel a lot more balanced and happier when they set limits on their own screen time. It got me thinking about how we could work together to find a healthy balance for you. What do you think? I'm open to your ideas. Here's another scenario where we could combine these different persuasion tools together. Let's say you want to encourage your teenager to take on more responsibility around the house. You might say something like, I've been noticing how you're taking on a lot more initiative at school lately, like how you organized that fundraiser for the drama club. It's really impressive to see you stepping up and making a difference. I was thinking about how you could bring that same leadership and follow through to our own family. What would you think about taking on a couple of new chores each week? We could sit down together and come up with a plan that works for both of us. Whatever scenario you're dealing with, the key is to combine these persuasion tools in a way that feels authentic and real to you. Here's one final tip I want to leave you with. Instead of focusing your attention on the negative behaviors that you want your teenager to stop doing, try focusing on the positive behaviors that you want them to do more of. Reinforce the good things you see your teen doing using vivid, values based language. Let's say your teenager decides to start volunteering at a local animal shelter. You could say, I'm so impressed by your decision to volunteer. It shows a lot of compassion and responsibility to give your time to animals in need. I can just picture you there, making sure each dog gets some love and attention and feeling good, knowing that you're making a difference. Keep up the good work. I'm proud of you. By weaving vivid, values based appeals, social proof, and active listening into your conversations with your children, you can become a more effective and empathetic communicator. Remember, your goal is not to manipulate your teen, but to guide them toward choices that align with their values and long term well being. It takes practice and patience to make these tools a natural part of your parenting approach. So keep at it. For more science backed communication ideas, subscribe to our channel. I'll see you in the next video.